Pokémon Legends ZA arrives strong as the awaited follow-up to Pokémon Legends Arceus, shaking up the series with many innovative ideas and others that will surely prove controversial. Set in Lumio City from Pokémon X and Y, this new game leverages Nintendo Switch 2 to present an urban open world that breaks from the usual rural settings, a risky move for Pokémon. With a completely new battle system inspired by titles like Xenoblade and the inclusion of the new Mega Evolution forms, does Pokémon Legends ZA become a new benchmark for the series? Don't miss our final verdict in this review. The Pokémon Legends line has become a testing ground to experiment with new gameplay in one of the most conservative and established series in video games. Pokémon Legends Arceus was a giant leap that dared to open its universe to exploration through small open worlds, and now Pokémon Legends ZA does the same, but by changing the battle system that has been with us since the Game Boy games. This time, players can revisit the Kalos region, and specifically, its largest city, Lumio City, looks more alive and better than ever in Pokémon Legends ZA. Inspired by Paris, it becomes the game's new open world. That may feel jarring at first since the Pokémon series has us more accustomed to moving through rural environments where wild Pokémon live. The urban development plan by Quasartico Inc. has turned Lumio City into a much friendlier place for wild Pokémon to live freely, but also for trainers to battle with them and enjoy a challenging, fun experience. Here's where your role as the protagonist comes in. You arrive in the city aiming to become a great Pokémon trainer and reach the top spot among Lumio's trainers. The story is spiced up with a subplot in which wild Pokémon mega evolve and cause chaos in the city, and you have to deal with problems of that kind. All managed from Hotel Z, the operations center of the game's main team. It's certainly a very different concept from anything seen before in Pokémon games. Pokémon Legends ZA focuses heavily on strengthening Pokémon battles and strategy with real-time action. In that sense, it is a bold step both in its setting and in its design. Overall, the results seem satisfying. This Lumio City makes no sense, yet it feels like a very pure Pokémon game where battling and catching are the key. We would have preferred not to set aside the exploration of natural environments so much, but it's a small sacrifice in favor of delivering a different, original kind of experience that suits the series well. This is the first time a game in the Pokémon series has such striking technical specs. Nintendo Switch 2 can run Pokémon Legends ZA at a steady 60 frames per second, even in handheld mode. This has been achieved with solid optimization and simple models and effects that make the visuals striking. All the action in Pokémon Legends ZA takes place in Lumio City, a large open world with a limited number of biomes due to its concept. Despite that, we think Lumios is laid out in a way that invites players to discover new places and the Pokémon that live there. The character art is inspired by the style of the animated series, a trend that took hold in earlier games and fits like a glove. In that sense, we think Pokémon's visual evolution has landed on the artistic sweet spot we could imagine. The setting of Pokémon Legends ZA does not lend itself to a visually varied adventure. Even so, it manages not to become tiresome and it feels cozy. The day and night cycle and the weather effects give Lumios a bit more life. Because it is much more combat-focused, the entire UI has been redesigned so you don't miss what is happening, with all the Pokémon data, a mini-map, and objectives always available without clutter. Perhaps even more than necessary, with pop-ups constantly appearing to report what is happening in battles. One of the touches we liked most is the music and how it transforms as gameplay events unfold. While you wander around Lumio City, the music is usually calm, with piano as the main instrument. When you enter Pokémon battles or higher action moments, it speeds up and shifts style without losing its core motif. Also, the return of classic tracks remastered with very good taste is something Pokémon fans will value. If Pokémon Legends Arceus worked as a major experiment in exploration and movement through open worlds in the series, Pokémon Legends ZA has been used to probe how far battles can go by tuning key parts of its core gameplay. By day, players can freely explore Lumio City to catch Pokémon or do side quests. At night, the most fun and challenging part begins. The goal is to take part in the Z-A Royale, which tasks you with climbing from rank Z to rank A among Lumio City's top trainers. Moving up after after winning Pokémon battles against other in-game trainers. This creates a dual path that lets you enjoy the game at your own pace. You can take all the time you want to discover Lumiose, obtain and train your Pokémon, or do optional actions such as changing the protagonist's look or getting useful items. If at any point you feel ready to progress the story, the battle zones are always available once the sun sets until you complete the challenger's ticket and face the next opponent. This is one of the Pokémon games with the most finely tuned difficulty we've played. In Pokémon Legends Arceus, there were already some alpha Pokémon that could be a problem that you had to flee from due to their power. In Pokémon Legends Arceus, there were already some alpha Pokémon that could be a problem and that you had to flee from due to their power. Something similar happens in Pokémon Legends ZA, which gives the player much more freedom to face these problems in the most original ways they can think of. The biggest change is in the battle system. Now Pokémon receive real-time orders from trainers to attack, with a cooldown after performing a move. That means you must wait after executing one to use it again, a mechanic that unmistakably reminds us of the Xenoblade series, also owned by Nintendo, and that we did not expect to fit Pokémon so well. From the opening moments, it is as addictive as Pokémon Legends Arceus. Catching Pokémon and completing research missions to earn points and rank up is a good reason to explore the wild areas and pick up the creatures you're missing. One side quest we liked most had us climbing scaffolding on buildings to obtain special items that help in the adventure, a small traversal challenge that adds variety to the game. We think Mega Evolution is one of the most powerful and satisfying mechanics to hit the main Pokémon series, so we love that Z-A revisits it to give Pokémon more power and make the game stand out. An important part of Pokémon Legends ZA lies in its multiplayer options, with much more potential than we expected. Trainers can connect for real-time battles with up to 4 players where everyone fights everyone. It's a kind of mini battle royale that's chaotic and yields unexpected results. Strategy is key here too, and it evokes a feel similar to another popular free-to-play Pokémon game, Pokémon Unite. This player-to-player connection, which was one of the main shortcomings of Pokémon Legends Arceus, makes ZA feel much more complete as a video game, bringing it closer to the experience of a classic mainline entry with player battles and trades. In addition, to keep the game lively and avoid static content, Pokémon offers an online mode against other players to climb the ranks and earn titles, and is also preparing more post-launch content, both free and paid. The power of Nintendo Switch 2 has made things like load times practically imperceptible, while performance in handheld mode remains exceptional. Pokémon Legends ZA has made a bold leap for Pokémon that was worth it. The decision to renew the traditional battle system with mechanics inspired by the Xenoblade series brings freshness and strategic depth that engages from the start. Although exploration is somewhat more limited than in Pokémon Legends Arceus, Lumiose City is attractive enough to get lost in its streets, catching Pokémon and enjoying a lively urban environment. It makes good use of Nintendo Switch 2's power, with graphics that, while not revolutionary, deliver a striking and very smooth experience. Touches like dynamic music that shifts with the situation show the care put into every aspect of this so-called Pokémon spin-off. Plus, hearing classic melodies remastered is a treat fans will appreciate. Pokémon Legends ZA not only reinvents key elements of the franchise, but also lays a solid foundation for what's to come. If you're a Pokémon fan and were looking for a reason to jump to Nintendo Switch 2, this adventure might just be the push you need. Don't miss the rest of the videos on the channel that we've left for you here. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest news about Nintendo Switch 2. Thanks for watching, see you next time!